She allegedly said, yeah, I have this reaction where I can go unconscious and sometimes pass out and faint at the mention of anything sexual or seeing any sort of sexual imagery. And somebody did what everybody wanted to do and really let their impulsive thoughts take over and just said, did he do it? And they're like, okay, because low-key, I think I would maybe pay to be on the jury unless I ended up going missing. Hello, homies, and welcome to Easily Entertained with your host, your pop culture Sherpa, Maddie McLean, here to guide you through the latest in pop culture from entertainment news and Hollywood to internet combos and my latest findings from my doom scrolling adventures that I've been known to dive into here and there, along with a sprinkle of pop psychology just for good measure, but unlicensed, of course, just unlicensed pop psychology. Anyways, we are back from somewhat of a mini hiatus. It's been a few weeks and I missed you guys. There's been so much going on, not only in the pop culture universe and world at large, my favorite phrase to make things sound just a wee bit more intelligent, but also in my personal life. So today we are talking how I am quietly losing my shit across an array of topics, including Bill Belichick and his delightfully young girlfriend and the latest ripples and waves that they've made in the media, as well as Lady Gaga's recent concert scare in her record-breaking concert in Brazil. We'll get into that in a minute. And our biggest topic today or this week is Sean P. Diddy Combs, because the notorious, the infamous trial that we've been leading into for a while now started this week. It began on Cinco de Mayo as well as Met Gala Monday. So the irony has not missed me there, and I hope it hasn't missed you either. Who knows? We're going to talk all about it. So I hope you stick around and enjoy this week's episode. Let's get right into it. Now, we started this new season introducing somewhat of a new topic, or new segment really, that I like to call Quietly Losing My Shit. It's very gracefully named, so we can all hold space a la Ariana Grande and Cynthia from Wicked, and get a little Brene Brown vulnerable together, if you will. If you can't tell by my immediate use of humor, it's like my default setting, really. So it annoys some people. So if you don't like that, we probably won't get along. All that to say, this is a step nonetheless. I'll start off with just like a light seasoning of vulnerability. The most recent time that I feel as though I was exposed for the world, it was a rainy Wednesday evening, and it was about 8 p.m. I have no groceries, nothing in my fridge. I mean, if the gun to my head, I'm sure I could have put something together, but I didn't have the brain power for that. So I decided to go across the way to God's favorite grocery store. That would be H-E-B, Howard Edward Butt. So I took my little self over to H-E-B, and I also didn't have brain power to think of like something healthy and fun and unique to whip together. So I just went to the frozen food aisle, as one does, grabbed myself a Rayo's frozen pizza. Okay, so it's like not, we're not going DiGiorno's level, although I love me a good DiGiorno's, but we got Rayo's, so frozen pizza, grabbed myself a bottle of wine, because why not? It was a long week, okay? And remembered that I needed toilet paper too, so might as well grab that. Something about that combo, toilet paper, frozen pizza, and a bottle of wine, and I also was raw dogging it, like I didn't have a grocery cart or anything, was extremely humiliating. Like, it was horrifying already for some reason, like walking into your house or whatever in public, like carrying toilet paper. Call me whatever. I hate it. I feel so uncomfortable. I feel so self-conscious, but that's on social anxiety. Anyways, so that felt vulnerable. It felt like a big deal. I was trying not to make eye contact with anybody, although I could feel it, you know what I mean? I could just sense it. And of course, I was like, okay, perfect. We'll go to self-checkout then to avoid human interaction as much as possible. They need to ID you for that bottle of wine. So I had to not only, have said human interaction, I had to draw more attention to myself and pressing that little button, or it's like, please remove your ID. And you have to stand there. And anyways, my fault, my fault. But yeah, kind of felt a little bit like vulnerability exposure therapy, if that's a thing. I don't know. It's pretty evolved. And you may ask yourself, wow, how is Maddie McLean so evolved? And I'll tell you why. Maybe it's because I've entered my 30s, ladies and gentlemen. Hey. Yes, and they say my frontal lobe is fully developed, allegedly. So that is great. And you'd be right for the most part. So leads me to say I have to admit, I'm quietly, I guess not in this case, I'm quietly losing my shit over turning 30. And I never thought I would be that person. I also made it a point to never be that person. And I haven't like been scared of getting older or hating their birthdays or anything like that. And trust me, if you ask anybody who's been around me longer than, I don't know, a year, will tell you that that part I do have down pat. I love a good birthday. I'm one of those birthday bitches that loves their birthday. It's a month. Only to those, really close to me, it's a month. Kidding, sort of. I won't lie to you. We're all about honesty here and vulnerability, right? But I have to say, it's really a lifestyle, okay? Just ask Drake. He knows. But I have to say the big 3-0 lore kind of got to me. So this time around, already birthdays get you uber reflective and just like thinking about everything in your life. For me, like my inner monologue tends to go quite negative at first. We're working on that frontal lobe developing. But yeah, I found myself thinking about that. And birthdays, they already tend to force the reflection, right? But this one feels like a timestamp, like a red flag, like a marker, a pretty obvious one. And it had me, Carrie Bradshaw, all Carrie Bradshaw like thinking. We always talk about how comparison is the thief of joy, and that's very accurate. In fact, that is a large part of most of where the negativity, I feel like, when it comes to birthdays comes from, is this whole comparing ourselves to others. But we always talk about it in terms of comparing ourselves to other people, right? But what about when we compare ourselves to ourselves, our past version, our past selves, who we were in the, like, I don't know, for example, you look at a 10th grade picture of yourself and you're like, damn, I looked so good. What happened? That's like a very light, low key version of what I'm talking about, but you get me. Or maybe it's the version of ourselves that doesn't really exist yet, but we know we want to be or want to do eventually. I find myself doing that these days far more often than comparing myself to other people. I still do it. I'm not perfect and I'm human, but that can get like very tricky. It can be almost just as damaging, I feel like, if you have a critical inner monologue, like, myself. I feel like we all do. It's all about kind of managing it a little bit. That was a bit of a pass the thought there, but I figured, why not? We're easily entertained over here. And I'm still trying to figure out where to look in the camera. So work with me here. So this birthday, as we're approaching, my birthday is in April, late April. I'm a Taurus. What up, what up? Like myself, when I look back on the past few years, I've found myself on somewhat of a roller coaster, taking me in directions that I didn't necessarily want to or plan to go, as life does. And there's always that saying, a man or human, you make plans and God laughs. I used to fully believe that and like say that to other people out loud, kind of in a jokey way. But the more I think about it, the more I don't like it and disagree with it. First of all, I don't think that's God's nature, but it's just the nature of life. And I don't think that God's laughing at us. I do think if you put too much weight into your plans and hold on to them really tightly and you only want it to go the version you see it going, yeah, maybe God will giggle, because that's us just trying to be him a little bit. You know what I mean? And nobody wants me to play that role. And nobody asked either, fully aware. In particular, if I could take you down briefly in this 5-year cycle of the beginning of COVID, let's go 2020, right? I made plans, and in that moment of time, and I believed that God was laughing at me because I was semi-fresh out of college. I'd been working in an ad agency for 3 years and I was already feeling burnt out. So, number one, but I immediately jumped into that corporate game and I was so down to, well, just be competitive. We're taught that too. It's natural for all of us to then compete and, be the whole first one in, last one out of the office, toxic bullshit. That whole thing led to a quick burnout. And so I was planning just a mini few month long sabbatical. Yes, I am lucky to be able to do so, but I had made the plans. I was going to go to Southeast Asia, yada, yada. And the day came for me to quit my job. So I quit my job at this agency. And the very next day, I shit you not, was when COVID shut offices down for the next foreseeable future. So, but at the time, remember, we thought we'll just wait it out. It's only a matter of time. Yeah. But the beautiful part of that is that it did come all around and I did make my Southeast Asia sabbatical trip. And it always happens in the right timing, it takes more time to look back and be able to see why, maybe not why, but how that thing that didn't go your way led you to the thing that was supposed to go your way. You dig? Then I moved back home to Austin and then found myself another job and it was perfect on paper and I really did learn a lot. I'm so grateful for that job. But I use the same habits and lifestyle that just put me right back down the path to burnout again. So we left and we were trying freelancing in this podcast and we're trying something new. And I think I was kind of having my quarter life crisis. So if you're in a place in your life where you don't know what's next or you're not sure, but what you are sure of is that it's something different, I'm with you. I'm with you. And something fun I think I might add on. And if you follow me on TikTok, Maddie is easily entertained. I'll be putting more stuff on there, but I was thinking about sharing some of the things I'm learning from the career coach. And it's almost like a life coach therapist. I mean, I've gone to therapy for 7 years, believe it or not. It uses all of that. So she was recommended by my therapist. So you were really getting vulnerable. Yeah. So I just really wanted to, get real with you and let you know that I'm in that place right now where I'm not entirely sure what to do. And right on the heels of a birthday when you're thinking about, oh my God, what did 16-year-old me picture as 30-year-old version of me? And I can tell you it was a little bit different than from what's happening now. But that's also the beauty of growing older and maturing, is frontal lobe developing. And I now have the ability to see that, get a little wiser and see that maybe things aren't happening to us, but they're happening for us. And whether you believe that because of a higher power or the universe or ourselves or whatever it is, once you shifted to that thinking, it's made shit a whole lot easier for me. I spent in between, really leading up to launching this podcast, I was terrified of putting myself out there. And this has always been something I want to do. I was that kid that had I had a comp, whatever, my model shots. I wanted to be an actress. Okay. That's where I was getting at. And then life kind of just scared me away from putting myself out there, which is not uncommon. After coming out of a really painful time of my life, after I moved back, 2022, I fell into a very toxic, emotionally abusive relationship. And now I can say, and as crazy as this may sound, I am so grateful for that experience and for how I learned so much about myself. And it's all about how you then use that to react and alchemize that kind of thing. Anyways, I'm getting way outside of the topic of easily entertained. So we're going to bring it right back. But after getting through that really reflective in my thoughts, in my feels time period leading into turning 30, had so much fun with a bunch of my girlfriends. We went out to Fredericksburg, some wineries out there. That's in Texas for those that don't know. And so we're not really known for wine or wine making by any means. I think they get some imported, but don't knock until you try it. I was quite surprised. It'd been a long time since I'd gone to these wineries. Quite good. And it's always refreshing. Well, I don't know about refreshing or relaxing, but It is refreshing for your soul and a ton of fun to go on a girls trip. Girls trips are the best and girls are the best. Yay. Woo woo woo, rah rah rah, shish kumbah. Something else, it's pop culture adjacent, that's been making me quietly lose my shit lately is one of the latest of Trump's tariffs. While this is not at all the most important, like probably the least important, this is a pop culture podcast after all. So he's now coming for our movies. Hollywood is in a panic after Trump proposed 100% tariffs on all films, US films, that are produced outside of the US. Now, this is exactly what he said. Mr. Trump said he had authorized Jamieson Greer, the United States Trade Representative, to begin the process of taxing any and all movies coming into our country that are produced in foreign lands, Mr. Trump added. This is a concerted effort by other nations and therefore a national security threat. Okay. The Motion Picture Association, which represents the biggest Hollywood studios in Washington, declined to comment. As is often the case with Mr. Trump's declarations on social media, it was not entirely clear what he was talking about. Did he mean any movie, including independent foreign language films, art house cinemas, or movies playing exclusively on streaming services? Time will tell. This is from a New York Times article I just read from. Now, majority of American films are actually made outside of the US, produced, that is. So it gets a little bit, I guess the way they're slicing and dicing it is a little bit of like word salad. Everything outside of the cameras rolling, filming, on location, on set part. So like the scripting, casting, things like that, pre-production, that usually, at least for American films, does happen in the States. But it's the filming part that most people will choose, or major companies will choose to film outside of the US for, well, one big reason, really, money. But some countries like UK, Hungary, Australia, New Zealand, and Canada, and among others, they'll also offer tax incentives. So major incentive to do so. And this is taking away jobs, obviously. If you're moving something to another country, that's away generally from American jobs, but it is taking away the middle class portion, essentially, of those jobs, like camera operators, on-set designers, makeup artists. They called it middle class in this article. I don't really know about that, but basically not the super majorly, absorbently paid producers, directors, or actors. Outside of that, their jobs are, of course, safe. But, the people that aren't getting paid so much, their jobs are in jeopardy. But when I looked into the numbers, Hollywood's lost around 15,000 jobs like those in the last, it said 3 years. So like 5,000 a year. Comparatively, not a ton. Hollywood's kind of scrambling and freaking out. Budgeting is already a crazy thing because the movies that are only choosing to film in the US, usually it's a budget thing. And then even still filming here and like in places like LA or wherever, it still does cost a lot here. But we'll see what happens like that. And hopefully we're not seeing the White Lotus filmed at like the Lubbock Motel 5 next season. So cross your fingers on that one. Although there's like a lot bigger fish to fry. Just saying. Next in our pop culture news nuggets, I just got really into it for a moment. Over this last weekend, Lady Gaga broke records for the highest attended concert by a female artist, woo woo women, by bringing over 2.5 million fans to a free, God bless her, free concert at Rio's Copacabana Beach. And this was this last Saturday. The previous record holder was Madonna. It was also a free concert, but Lady Gaga called it mayhem on the beach after her latest album. And she, I guess, hadn't performed in Brazil for some time now, 5 to 10 years. And she's got a big Brazilian fan base, obviously. I, for one, by the way, dying to go to Brazil. I had the pleasure of working with a bunch of Brazilians in my last job, the last corporate job, that is. And they were the nicest, funniest people. I always loved meeting with them. And that's like crazy. who likes meetings. Anyways, I'll show you some of the videos of the concert. I mean, wow, massive. Probably a nightmare if you have a fear of large crowds or like claustrophobia. Luckily, everybody was fine. Everyone was safe. However, it wasn't until the following day on Sunday morning, we learned the next morning from Brazilian police and authorities that they had actually foiled an alleged bomb threat. There was a group of people that were planning to set off a bomb at the concert, but the police were able to arrest the suspects and keep things really under wraps because the arrest happened the day before or the day of the concert. And they decided not to tell people in order to make sure everyone remained calm and to avoid panic. I don't know. I definitely don't have to make those kinds of major decisions like that. But I don't know. If I knew about that, I feel like I'd want to know about that. Because what if they didn't get everybody? But they did. Hallelujah. And I mean that. Unfortunately, this is something that us in the United States are not foreign to. And unfortunately, same for around the world in terms of concerts. For example, just last year, Taylor Swift, a similar thing happened to her concert in Vienna that was foiled, but they canceled the concert and that didn't move forward. Different circumstances, different situation, I suppose. At the show, they had like over 5,000 military and police officer presence at the Brazilian show for Lady Gaga. So keeping everybody safe, and thank God, really scary. And allegedly it was a group of people motivated by hate speech and anti-LGBTQ homophobic beliefs, whatever you want to call them. And luckily everyone was safe, and Gaga made a statement that she's very glad, and she learned too that the following day about the plot. Sounds kind of crazy. And also in terms of another concert almost like mishap, I saw some videos on TikTok, and Beyoncé nearly missed getting literally like bitch slapped by these robotic arms that are part of her show. If you look it up, it's for the song Ego, I think it is. I guess in this particular venue, the stage managers or whatever didn't mark her place. And luckily she has muscle memory, so knew exactly where to stand. But where she's standing was like these robotic arms of 3 different robots that were moving around her and like close to her face. It's like in this drag portion where it's basically like picture frames surrounding her face moving around. Scary. And you can actually see the fear in her face. And for a performer like Beyonce who's done that every day and can put on like a fake face, that you could like see the fear. That was pretty scary. You should totally look it up. Like nothing obviously happens, but you can kind of tell she's like looking around her frantically. Anyways, if I can figure out how to put it on this video by the time this podcast is out, you'll see it on the video. All right. Now, let's talk about one of the strangest celebrity adjacent pairings I've seen in some time. That's really dominating the gossip circle right now, and that is Bill Belichick. Yes, that Bill Belichick. And if you're lost, again, not a sports podcast, pop culture podcast, but stick with me here. Bill Belichick, if you don't follow sports, has a new girlfriend, by the way, and her name is Jordan Hudson. Bill Belichick is the former head coach of the New England Patriots, best known for his hoodies, his complete lack of facial expressions, and as well as coaching the one, the only, I don't know, like, is he like a dinosaur? He's like not real. Tom Brady. That's who. To 6 Super Bowl wins. He's basically the NFL's answer to a grumpy grandpa who also happens to be a football genius. He's also 72 years old. He is newly single after somewhat of a long-term relationship that ended, I guess, in 2023. Enter 24-year-old pageant girl who reads Jordan Hudson. So apparently the story goes these two met on a flight back in 2021 and bonded over Jordan Hudson's book that she was reading, a philosophy book, as one does midair. And he signed her book for her, and they kept in touch via email for a few years and eventually turned into a full-on relationship. And potentially also like a workplace relationship as well. So Jordan Hudson is now reportedly his new girlfriend. She's now posting photos on Instagram, particularly the Halloween costume outfit with 72-year-old Bill Belichick. as like fishermen catching a mermaid fish, which is his girlfriend. Yeah, he's doing things, I'll tell you what. And now she maybe also is unofficial publicist. Because when you think who will lead the strategic PR for an NFL team, you think a recently graduated, I guess not that recently, but semi, because I'm 30, a 24-year-old who has most experience in the pageant world. I'm sure she's smart and that's great, but seems like a strange fit for, an ex for a major NFL Titan coach like Bill Belichick. Now, they started popping up in the scene because of this super awkward, cringy CBS Sunday Morning interview that started making the rounds. So they were going on, Bill was being interviewed by a CBS Morning host, mostly just to promote his book. And he's a very private person for the most part. So it's not rare that he doesn't want to share all these details. But it's like CBS Morning News, which is basically like a layup to a really, it's a puff piece. They're going to be sweet to you. So they ask him, here's Jordan Hudson here with you at this interview. Like, you tell us, how did you guys meet? And you hear her, they released this footage, CBS did, Jordan going, nope, we're not talking about this, and being just like sitting right there. And CBS mentions she was right there throughout the duration of our interview. And word is they released it because that was like the least overbearing part of the interview. And he was also major reason why Mr. Bill Belichick in this interview was wearing a sweatshirt with like a big old hole right on his shoulder. Like a distressed hoodie, that you get at Forever 21. So then the internet went wild and is saying he's clearly uncomfortable, almost robotic, and felt like someone dragged their dad into a TikTok dance. And people are wondering if he needs help, if he is being held hostage by Jordan, which, let me say, interesting. I think the reaction is largely this way because of the audience pool of the NFL. And it's like a woman who, God forbid, a woman like also have, skills that could help in business too. But whatever. It was the way she did it and him wearing a torn hoodie. We even had Dave Portnoy from Barstool weigh in. And this is a man who's been in several age gap relationships himself. So for him to be talking about it and for his own interview behavior says something. So that's when you see Dave Portnoy talking about, is this man being held hostage by this young girl, says something. I will say 72 and 24. Wow. I don't want to shame anyone for falling in love, first of all, or for age gap relationships, because they happen. And in fact, I'm kind of into that. So I think it all depends on phase of life, the age that you meet. Like, so if you meet and the person's like 18 and the other person is like 45, there's a power imbalance. There's a lot of things at play here. So just keep that in mind. But seeing these two in particular, and then knowing like she's stepping in, she started filing trademarks left and right. And now she's posting Instagram like receipts of Bill's emails. It's just not looking like the kind of PR that Bill's historically done. So that's why people are also a little bit confused by this behavior. People magazine released a recent article asking Bill Belichick's 3 kids, who are all 10 plus years older than his new girlfriend, what they think. And they were as polite as they could be, I suppose, but said, it is a real relationship. We hope things work out really well. And that was pretty much all of the quote. So you can read into that however you please. And then people also, other aspect was that story of the meeting on the plane. Is that not true? And like, you guys, it's never been true. Think about it. I'm not going to assume, but I'm assuming right now that maybe he asked her to be his date once, if you catch my drift, and said he loved her so much that he would, pay her to be his date because she would miss work. Anyways, so what do you think? What do you think about this relationship? What do you think about people's reactions to everyone saying this girl, Jordan Hudson, is holding Bill Belichick hostage. Can anyone really do that? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how long that lasts. Because then, if you look it up now, word on the street is that he's already shopping around for a new PR representative. After he did say they have both a romantic and now, why can't I think of the word for business relationship? But they have that as well. And she is, in fact, working for PR. And we see how well that's going. So we'll see. Although his book is selling, it is selling. I guess in this case, any talk is good talk. Bad talk is good talk, because his newly released book and autobiography is at the top of the charts. Not that I'm going to read it. Cinco de Mayo this year was packed with pop culture activity. Met Gala Monday fell on Cinco de Mayo, and this year's theme shone a light on Black designers with the theme Super Fine, tailoring Black style, and it paid tribute to Black dandyism, which was a style that was forced upon slaves in the past, but was later reclaimed as a message in and of itself. You can see, by the way, I'll post some of my favorite outfits on the Instagram, which is Easily Entertained Pod. If you don't already follow, what are you doing? But this year, for one previous Met Gala attendee, at least at some point in the past, shit looks a little different. We're wearing a different suit. And this time, instead of a tailored black one, he's wearing a prison one. He's wearing a prison suit. There was a better way to get into that transition there, but that's okay, because while Hollywood was out there serving camp on the Met Gala steps across the country in New York, a very different kind of drama was unfolding in a New York courtroom. Because on May 5th, the federal trial for P. Diddy, Sean Combs, Puff Daddy, Love, which is hilarious that he called himself Love, looking back, it officially began on Monday with jury selection, no less. Yeah. So finding a jury is going to be really, really hard. But before I give you the latest on the updates there from this week, how did we get here? Let's rewind, shall we? So Sean Combs, rap mogul, fashion king, music exec, and former party thrower of the century. Well, all those words may seem like a little bit of BS now, as he's now been accused by multiple women, and I mean lots of people, men and women, of sex trafficking, abuse, and running what prosecutors are calling a full-blown criminal enterprise. Like Diddy Dirty Money was not supposed to be this literal, I don't think. And one of the biggest updates leading into this trial is that Cassie, Diddy's former ex-girlfriend of many years, who broke open the watergates of this entire federal trial with her very brave lawsuit, she will actually be testifying at the trial. She initially filed under Jane Doe anonymously, but she's standing 10 toes down and will be in the courtroom, and her legal team says she's ready to speak on the record as Cassie or Cassandra about the abuse she endured during their decade-long relationship. And it's not just Cassie. So the center of this trial, the one it's focusing on, there are 3 other women that are central to this. It's centering on 4 cases, although, wait for it, he has over 50 lawsuits against him right now. So Diddy's legal team was furiously trying to limit the damage leading into the trial beginning. They had filed a motion to strike any allegations that were not directly tied to those 4 cases, basically saying, let's not bring up anything else that makes me look bad, which is what every defendant will do, and every lawyer that's doing the job will have them do. But part of that is they're also asking to subpoena all of Warner Brothers and HBO's footage, used and unused, so raw, unedited footage for their Fall of Diddy docuseries, where 2 of the alleged victims for this case participated. So we'll see. They haven't ruled on that yet, at least at the time of recording. But it's an interesting question, because usually journalists and people like in the media, the free press, are are rarely forced to pass over that kind of thing, simply because of, ethics in media and granting people the right to their anonymity and such, being on and off the record. This isn't his first time in a trial in a courtroom either. Years back, when he was first starting out as a producer and setting up events, there was a terrible tragedy of just overcrowding. People lost their lives, and he kind of got away with it, and the venue was the one who got in trouble, essentially. But I mean, among other like gun possession charges and things like that. So it's not all necessarily new, but this time it's for real because these charges, they're serious and they're scary. And I hope his ass gets nailed to the wall. Allegedly. Leading into the beginning of jury selection this week, Diddy has officially been in prison hands. He's been locked up for 7 months. So that's pretty wild already that you should have been locked up for a lot longer. But the way that this has moved so quickly, at least in the public sphere, is definitely it's going to get faster and it's going to get wilder. And we will recognize a lot of names, whether or not they're witnesses or they're defendants, we'll see. During jury selection, alongside the standard, they'll pass out a list of somewhere around 15 questions about the center of some of the biggest issues or charges of the case to see if these jury members can be impartial. So names of a bunch of either potential witnesses, defendants, and people involved, they don't make clear, but a lot of names were already mentioned. And this list reads like a fever dream. We've got Kid Cudi, my boy, don't worry, wait for it. He's fine. Michelle Williams of Destiny's Child, not the Oscar nominee actress. Michael B. Jordan, Mike Myers, as in Austin Powers is Mike Myers, among quite a few others, including Kanye West. We have lots of questions, zero answers, but I do have speculation for some of these names. So for context, Kid Cudi's name appeared in Cassie's original lawsuit, which alleged that Diddy allegedly blew up Kid Cudi's car in front of his house one time because he was, I guess, jealous or annoyed. Kid Cudi and Cassie like briefly dated in between, I suppose, when Diddy and Cassie broke up. So when they're on a little bit of a break, and basically forced somebody else to help him too in order to break in, and then dropped like allegedly some sort of like Molotov cocktail into his car and it blew up. And Kid Cudi has confirmed this. That's where Kid Cudi's name comes from. Kanye's name was also been floating around the case. He may be the one that I'm quite sure isn't just a witness, but maybe involved, given those really weird phone calls that were leaked of a recent call between Kanye and Diddy while Diddy was in jail. And it's just weird. They're like both kissing each other's butts and like, I gotcha, man, essentially. But yeah, Kanye's not known for making good decisions. So that's not that surprising. By the way, for those that love Michael B. Jordan, so you're not freaking out, in Cassie's lawsuit, he's named as a witness, basically. He and Cassie dated briefly in 2015. Michael B. Jordan and Cassie, when they were filming, I guess, a movie, it says. They were filming a movie in Cape Town, South Africa. And they began a flirtatious relationship, spending New Year's Eve together. But Mr. Combs soon found out, called the actor, threatened him, and I guess Michael B. Jordan told Cassie, you really need to call P. Diddy and get him off my jock, probably. There's also chatter about witnesses potentially testifying under pseudonyms for safety. So essentially, inside the courtroom, probably the big famous witnesses that we're talking about now too. I mean, some will be obvious, but will testify under fake names or pseudonyms. Some even just under like Jane Doe or something like that. And it can play out a few different ways. Like the court will see the person and know who they are. They may not get their name, like the jury and such, but they can see them testify, basically. They can be disguised or something. And usually it's in cases where their safety is at risk if their identity is known, for things like retaliation. And in this case, yeah, P. Diddy is known to retaliate. There have been whispers of creators, of TikTokers, even people outside of the major, like they don't have millions of followers, being accosted and harassed by some of Diddy's team, allegedly, to get them to stop putting out this kind of information. So it's still unclear too if Diddy will be taking the stand himself. With a man with that kind of hubris, that kind of narcissist-like vibes, I could see that happening. In a lot of true crime cases, it's usually the real psychopaths that choose to represent themselves. Definitely not recommended by most lawyers. So we'll see what gets brought up in this case. I think there are a lot of stories, and I will break them down for you as they come. The case will get messy, and it already has. While the celebrity names are already pretty wild, let's not lose sight also of what the seriousness of this case is about. We're talking abuse, trafficking, power run amok, drugs being used, horrible, like hundreds of people's lives being ruined. So just keep in mind that while we talk about this, and I may talk about it lightly here and there, that it's still very, very serious. So as of recording, jury selection is still underway. They're hoping to get it done by the end of today, Wednesday, May 7th. But odds are not looking good because nobody wants to be on this jury. First of all, it's estimated to last 8 to 10 weeks. And lots of companies, most companies really won't pay you for those days you're serving jury duty. They'll give you like $15 or something like that usually. So that's 2 months no pay, very little pay. So already a lot of people don't want that. Then B, we're hearing of these stories of P. Diddy. Well, he's clearly a very powerful, rich man with the ability to keep a lot of people silent and scare a lot of people. So that's another factor that's playing into this. But some of the excuses, this is where we can get a little light because people are getting creative. One person walked up and this was day 2 of jury selection, so they had some time to think about it, I guess. The judge asked you, do you have anything, that could prevent you from being, from serving on this jury or whatever? She allegedly said, yeah, so I have this reaction where I can go unconscious and sometimes pass out and faint at the mention of anything sexual or seeing any sort of sexual imagery. It's good. Somebody else came up and said, just straight up was like, I looked it up on the train on the way here. And then because of that, though, I guess it was the prosecution was like, okay, you can stay. And defendants were like, no, obviously, no, kick him out, get him out of here. Another one, somebody did what everybody wanted to do and really let their what is it called? Their impulsive thoughts take over and just said, did he do it? And they're like, okay, get him out. Just people making up excuses left and right of strange, bizarre things. Someone was just like, I have a bum knee, so I don't think I can do it. One of my other personal favorite jury responses, potential juror responses, was this. There's a dude sitting next to the judge. The judge asks him, okay, so is there anything you think that would prevent you from serving on this jury? He goes, well, yeah, I smoke weed every day and at least once or twice, and I don't know if I can not. The judge goes, okay, well, if you're on this jury, I'm going to make it a mandate. I'm going to make it required. You must stop smoking weed for the duration of the trial. Can you handle that? And he was like, I don't know. So, of course, the judge said, okay, all right, you're excused. I'm wondering what I would say. Because low-key, I think, obviously, here I am talking about it. So I think I would maybe pay to be on the jury. So unless I ended up going missing. Like allegedly one of the witnesses, police can't get in touch with still, and they've been trying for months and months. So it's scary out there, y'all. I really hope I feel like there is a potential that he could go free just based on, anything is possible these days, especially in this timeline we're existing in. But I hope that's not the case because it's not looking good. They got to find 12. I think that is possible. Got to keep in mind that more and more the algorithms are keeping us within our siloed little news cycles. So while it feels like there's no way in hell to me that people can't know, like there are people that have no idea who P. Diddy is. We will see. Stay tuned. I'll keep you posted on everything P. Diddy. You can also follow me on TikTok. Maddie is Easily Entertained, where I'll have more frequent updates and I'll be using that a lot more these days. And Instagram, Easily Entertained Pod. But as always, thank you so much for listening. I'm so excited to be sitting on camera now. And we have lots of exciting things down the pipeline, lots of exciting guests, and we are potentially switching to bi-weekly episodes just for the time being, just for the next few months while I get a few personal things in order. Your girl's gotta move. Where to? We literally don't know yet. Yay! That probably makes all you type A's want to cry, but yeah. That's today's episode. I will talk to you guys next week. Bye, homies. I don't know how to end this on the camera. Bye. That's weird. Bye-bye. Bye now. Bye. See ya. Okay, bye.